Room service just came in. I didn't expect it to come so soon. But yeah, I just want to finish where I left off in the last video before I had to end it. So I started making money on YouTube and I could get all these things I never had before. And it never made me happy. I still felt empty inside. I wanted more. I felt like there was something missing in my life. And there was. Because happiness doesn't come from all this stuff. It comes from within. And it comes from giving value to other people. That's where happiness comes from. But narcissists cannot experience that. They can't experience real happiness. And deep down, I think they already know that they are condemned. So what is the point in them trying to get their happiness from within or giving value to other people? That's why they don't even bother trying. If a narcissist even tries to give something to you, it's not going to make them feel better anyway. Because they don't really care about you or anyone else. They only care about themselves. They're only going to give something to you to deceive you, to trick you. That's all they're going to do. And it's a very lonely experience. A very sad way to live your life. You just go through life accumulating stuff, cheating people. You never connect with anyone on a deeper level. You never care about anyone but yourself. It's a really sad way to live. So of course,
Excuse me, sir. All open, sir?
yes.
Thanks. Simon, thanks. Thanks. Welcome.
Very sorry about that. They forgot to bring the drink. But yeah, so of course, they're never going to be happy. They're never going to be truly satisfied with anything that they have. Doesn't matter what they have. And that is why you see celebrities, they look like they've got everything in life. They've got all of these big houses all over the world, private jets, super yachts. They've got it all. And yet many of them turn to drugs or they take their own lives. Why? When they've got all of this stuff, shouldn't they be happy? No. They still feel empty inside. They still feel like they're missing something. And that is because our happiness does not come from accumulating things. It comes from within. And it reminds me of the Buddha. He was once a prince in Nepal, and then one day he left the palace and all of his wealth and power because he saw the people outside who were starving and they had nothing. He felt like it wasn't right. That's how I feel many times when I see people who don't have a home or they don't have food, and I want to help them. Even though I also know what it is like to not have money, and even right now I don't actually have a home of my own. But yeah, I mean, accumulating things, it never leads to happiness. And I know that from my own journey. It's been almost 5 years making videos, and I've earned a lot of money from doing this, and making money and accumulating all of these things, it never made me happy. What did make me happy is the experiences, the connections I shared with other people, and giving to the homeless or the less fortunate. That is what truly made me happy. And also I found happiness within myself from doing the right thing. But money and things, that will never make you happy. You can use it so that you can feel safe and comfortable, and that is important to have that. We all deserve to feel safe. But just don't place too much importance on it. Don't depend on it like narcissists do. Don't try and use it to fill a void. Don't try and find your happiness in it, because you won't find it there. But this is what narcissists do, because what other choice do they have? They can't find happiness in connections and relationships, so they have to turn to material things. But even that does not make them happy. I mean, they feel miserable all the time. So when they turn to money and material things, that might make them feel a little bit better in the moment. But even then, it's not happiness. It's like an addiction. It just kind of distracts them from the pain, from their feelings of worthlessness. Because that's what they use it to compensate for. Money and material things to a narcissist, it's just to compensate for how worthless they feel inside. And the older they get, their looks fade away, so they begin to depend on these things more heavily. But even then, it's never enough, because they compare themselves to people who are of the same age, or people who are younger than them and have more. And they think, why don't I have that yet? Why am I not as successful as they are? Because they're constantly comparing themselves to other people and they never measure up. Because there's always someone who has more. There's always someone who's doing better. Which is why it's a waste of time measuring your happiness by these things. But this is what narcissists do. You see, there's no problem with material possessions, money. It's okay to have these things. But what are you using it for? Are you using it to portray a false image, to deceive people? Are you using it for bad things? And how did you get it? Did you get it by deceiving people? By scamming someone? By doing the wrong things? Because that's what narcissists do, and when they do that, the shame continues to build inside of them. It destroys them from the inside. And many of you may be jealous of what the narcissist has or what they've moved on to. And you may feel like you're missing out. You may want to get revenge. There's no point in doing that. Just remember that if you give the narcissist enough rope, they will hang themselves. So let them do what they want to do. Don't try to stop them. Don't try to change their course or path. Let them continue on their path of destruction, because that is the ultimate revenge. Don't try to stop them, because in the end you should know how they will end up. And I say that because I've seen it myself. In my own experience, I've seen the destruction. I've seen what happens when you give them enough rope, they hang themselves. That is really it. And there is no other way around it. There is no escaping it. Because you have to remember, these people do not value connection. They do not value families, communities. They do not value what we value. It's all about themselves. And when you're just thinking about yourself and nothing else, there's only one way that it's going to end up. They're going to end up alone and dissatisfied with their lives. In the end, that is how it's going to be. It's not going to be any other way for them. Do you think that one day they're just going to end up happy? Cheating people, doing bad things? That one day that's going to make them happy and they will live happily ever after? That's what they would like you to think. And that is the fantasy that they will try to feed to you. But it never works out that way. They will never have a meaningful relationship with anyone. And you should already know that, because they didn't care about you. If they didn't care about you after everything you did for them, how could they care about anyone else? They only care about themselves. They are self-absorbed. But even themselves, they don't even know who they are. They're just this thing, this entity that robs you and accumulates things. That's all it really is. And they try to fill this void inside of them, but they're never satisfied. It's never enough. And it's kind of like an addiction. And we play a part in it, because when we give to them, we're just fueling their addiction. We're making it worse. And then they have to go and get their next hit. They just need more and more. And it really deepens the darkness inside of them. Which is why you will find that the more sources they come across, the worse they get. Until finally, in the end, they're by themselves and they just feel empty inside. They've lived a life, but they've got nothing to show for it. They never amount to anything. All they've got to look back on is a bunch of people that they have tricked, manipulated, robbed, cheated, torn apart. And no matter how much they try to lie to themselves that it was your fault, or that it wasn't how it actually was, deep down they do know the truth. And they do feel that shame inside of them. And it continues to grow until it takes over them. It overwhelms them. And there is no escaping that, because they are shame-based individuals. They try and use people to dodge their shame, but it continues to grow. And the reason for that is because these are soulless beings that have no purpose in life other than to motivate you to become the best version of yourself. That is really their only purpose. I know Buddhists believe that we reincarnate, that at some point, once we achieve enlightenment, we move on to the afterlife, the heaven. But these narcissists, I really think that this is it for them. There's no reincarnation. There's no afterlife. Their purpose is just this life. And that is why they are so attached to this life, because that is all there is for them. And deep down, I think they know that. So why place importance to connections and building relationships with people? Why should that ever be important to them when they're attached to this life? If you give them enough rope, they will hang themselves. They will attach themselves to this life and never let go. They will sink deeper and deeper into it, and there will be no escape for them. And in the end, even when they're on their deathbed, nothing's going to change. They're not going to suddenly wake up and realize all the pain that they caused to people, everything they did. They're not going to think about that. They're still going to be the same, because they're not moving on to anything. This is it for them. This life is the end, the beginning and the end. But for us, the reason why we have empathy and we care so much about other people, and we don't want to hurt anyone, and we try to do the best that we can for people, is because we do have a deeper purpose. We're not so attached to this life, money and material possessions. These things aren't so important to us. And for many of us, we find it very difficult to hold on to these things because there is so much more to us. We have so much more to look forward to than just this life. So that's why it works that way. That's why sometimes the most spiritual people in this world don't even have anything. Because they don't need to be attached to this world. There is something much greater for them that comes after this life. And I'm making this video right now because I want you to remember that. To remember that there is so much more to you than just this physical body, than just this life. You are not bound by just space or time, or by this world, this universe. There is so much more to you than that. So the narcissist, let them think they've got one over on you. Let them think that they've moved on and they've rode off into the sunset and they've got their new source, they've got what they want from you. Because there really is no escape for them. And deep down, I think that's why we've made this choice to do good by other people. Because we know where we are going after this. We know that there is something after this life. And that this life, in the grand scheme of things, really doesn't mean anything at all. Other than our experiences, that's the only thing that is really important. So experience this life. Experience narcissists, experience abuse. And even take the time each day to feel grateful for what you do have, the good things. Just experience everything. The contrast between good and bad, right and wrong. Because that is what you're going to take with you. You're not going to take anything else, not even this physical body. The only thing you're going to take is your experience. And it is your experience which has the most value. And I look at that in my own experience. As I said in the previous part of this video, these things, these Ray-Bans, this gold chain, the Armani t-shirts, the Armani shoes, none of this stuff is coming with me after this life. because it's not important. What is important is my experience. My experience with other people, the lessons that I've learned, this world. That's the only thing that I'm taking with me. So let yourself experience everything. Let yourself experience what the narcissist wants to do to you. And let yourself experience the good things in this life as well. Experience that full range of emotions. Because that is what we are taking with us after this life. I know it's a deep video today, but that's really it. How it turns out for them in the end, and how it turns out for us, and how we are actually very different in that sense. I do hope this video was helpful for you. I hope it helped to explain what happens to these narcissists at the end. If it was helpful for you, please give it a thumbs up down below. And I am going to enjoy my dinner now. I hope you will enjoy yours as well, and I will speak to you in another video very soon.